Hello, this is Chris Vody, and thank you for joining my workshop today. Now, I do apologize for some of the inconvenience today. Um, I tried to create this event back at the beginning of this month, and I now realize that it was like, for some reason, it wouldn't let me start it. I didn't choose the right option, so had to create a new event. Um, I do recommend watching this from the beginning when you. Wow. Hopefully, you didn't hear that. So, as much as I was organized, I still messed this up. All right. So, today we're going to be discussing how to use tarot to make characters in your story. Now, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that you'll need to know about me for all of this. And the first is that I'm a very complex thinker. So if I'm going to design something like a tarot spread, it's going to be highly complex. Don't worry, it's very easy to use. It's very easy to get everything going, but there is some complexity to it that may not be apparent at first. And I'm going to kind of walk you through on how to do this. Now, this this workshop is going to be in 3 parts. Now, when this is released, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a post on my blog. It's going to be writing.chrisvody.com. So you can go ahead and download my files that I have today, mostly the worksheet that I have, but also a little bit, some pictures as well to help you understand how all of this groups together. Now, those who are just joining me now for the video, there is a chat option here. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. I'll try to keep my eye on that as best as possible and answer any questions you have, but I may ask you questions as well. So this is an opportunity. I'm going to try to make this as interactive as possible. However, I'm prepared for me just to talk the whole time through. So there's going to be 3 parts to this. First, we're going to talk a little bit about tarot, what it is and how I use it and how others might be able to use it as well. And then second, we're going to talk about the spread. The second part of this is talking about the spread itself. Hold on one moment. Sorry for that. I was talked to, but I might have to interrupt this in a moment and I guess take an interlude break when that happens. So second part, we're going to talk about the spread. We're going to talk about the complexities of the spread and how every single card works. Now, we are talking about a spread that uses up to 16 cards, but can be expanded up to 22 cards. So that's a lot of information to go over. I understand. But we're going to get through it as best as possible. And then the third one is we're going to see this in action. So, now, while you are staring at my sexy, sexy face here, I am going to be showing some pictures on this so it's not completely boring. So let me go ahead and first start off with I'm doing a screen share right now, and it never works 100% the way I want it to. So let's see if I can get that going. Okay, hopefully this is working. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to shill out my campaign. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing this workshop, but I hope this is something I can do on a regular basis. This is not the only thing that I do for character creation, but it is one of the main things. I'm disabled. I can't do a full-time job, but I can write and I can do videos. Unfortunately, those are kind of the things that you kind of need a little bit of money to do. This campaign is just for my writing career. I want to make 4 books of this book series. Hey, it did work. How about that? So there are plenty of prizes here, or not prizes, but you contribute and you can get something special. Also, big ticket item here is to get a personal picture of Mercedes Carrera. She's talked about using Polaroids. So you can get a very unique picture from her if you donate $100. I know it's a little bit on the high side, but got to limit it a little bit. Now, also another benefit to anyone who's interested is I've released the first book of my new series. Now, I'm not going to get into too much explanation of how this works, but it's based on the Templar 5 book, which is the main book, and this is one of the supplements that's released with the book. But this one is free and acts as a prologue for Templar 5. Now, as you can see, this is 58 pages long, and we're talking about actual writing being done. Now, it definitely needs to be given to an editor to, you know, get that final touch of class that it needs, but it's pretty much ready to go. But this is for your benefit, so you can see what you're investing in. So I'm going to stop with the shilling now. You can download this free off of my website, by the way, writing.chrisvoti.com/Dagar, and I'll provide that link down below if I remember it. All right, so let us go ahead and start. Okay, I need to stop the screen share and then start it again. There we go. All right, so we're going to start talking about tarot a little bit. Now, this is the Reader Write deck, Waite deck. I can never pronounce that right. This is what most people think about when they think of tarot. I actually don't use this deck at all. I actually don't like it. You know, it just doesn't appeal to me in any way. So, but let me go ahead and talk about some of the basics with it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through the major arcana, all 21 cards or 22 cards. And the reason being is that I want to show people what tarot is about. Now, I'm certain that a few of you already know what tarot is about, and that was one of the reasons that drew you here to see my spread to create characters. But I imagine that some people who will come to this event having no concept of what really tarot is, that they believe that tarot is, you know, something for fortune tellers, or, you know, going to the circus and getting your future read, or people to swindle you out of your money. And it's not. It really isn't. Now, as far as I go, I do tarot readings, but the key thing to know about me is I'm also an atheist. Now, I bring this up because there are a number of people who do readings who feel that there's a spiritual connection that you have to have in order to do readings, and I've never found that you need one. So you don't have to have a belief that tarot has any sort of special power in order for you to use tarot for your writing. So what is tarot exactly? And especially me being an atheist, how can I give readings using these cards if I don't necessarily believe in any mystical power that they have? Well, quite simply, for me, tarot is a psychological tool. It's a psychological tool of 78 cards I'm not even sure if it's 78. Wow, I'm like so prepared for this, and then I forget if it's 76 or 78. God, I feel bad. But basically, it's over 70 cards. Hell, no, I'm not even. Wow, I just can't even remember numbers anymore. It shows you how nervous I am. All right, so it shows you a personality trait of some sort, because tarot is about change. It's about a journey that people are on and about some of the things that they're going to see in their life. And to that fact, anywhere from 70% to 99% or even 100% of the cards you're going to find some connection to, some relation to. And what tarot readings are is a way of helping people make connections to the things in their life and kind of get a sense of where they need to go. And oftentimes people already know the answers. Now, so like I said, you don't really have to have like all of this extra inclination towards tarot in order to fully believe in it, to fully utilize it. And this workshop is going to be based on that principle that this is not something that you have to have extra faith in. Now, in order to understand tarot, there are a couple of things that you'll first need to understand. Now, you'll see that there's some cups up here and up top and some pentacles on bottom, and these are two type of objects for the cards, and the objects tend to represent something that's predominantly in them. They're also corresponded by numbers of Ace of Cups, Two of Cups, Three of Cups, what have you. You have four elements, which is Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles. Wands is career, projects, inspirations, or ambitions. Cups, emotions, relationship, creativity. Swords, challenges, intellect, way of thinking. And Pentacles, which is the physical world, money, and resources. Now, the numbers that we see, Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they kind of represent a journey. So it's like Ace is a new beginning. Twos are about crossroads or choices. 3 is about achievement. 4 is about stagnation and structure. 5, instability, conflict, opportunity. 6 is communication, problem solving. 7 is reflection. 8 is movement, actions. 9 is fruition and attainment. And 10 is completion. So you have the 4 there. You have the 4 elements with these 10 here, which gives you about 40 cards. We're not going to go over those individual cards because then this would take like forever. And I don't want to do that to you. One other element before we get into the major arcana is what we call the court cards. Now, for each of the elements, we have 4 corresponding court cards. Okay, so we have pages, knights, queens, and kings. Now, pages are basically novices, eager, enthusiastic. They lack maturity and experience. Often they deliver messages more often than not. But they can also represent a child or youth. Oftentimes, court cards can represent people, events, situations, yourself, other people, what have you. Knights are extremists, very focused, can be unbalanced and fanatical. Basically, they're like a teenager or a young adult. They have some experience, but they do lack maturity, but have more than the page does. Queen is mature and reflective, a nurturer. Can be prone to obsession. not always a bad thing. Kings, mature and expressive, organizes and controls external matters, sometimes at the expense of internal or personal matters. So, okay, so that basically goes over those basic cards. Now, like I said, we're going to go over the major arcana. Now, the major arcana doesn't actually correspond specifically to the 4 elements, but makes some use of them in some of them. They actually tell kind of a unique story that starts with the Fool and ends with enlightenment, and that we're always on this journey. Now, for me, the major arcana represents natural change, whereas the minor arcana kind of represents unnatural change, that it's not something that's supposed to happen in life, but ends up happening anyways. So, now, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything as I go through this. I will state one thing, that my interpretations might be different than what most other people have. And this is just the way I read cards. If you feel that you do something different, if you read it differently, go ahead and put it in the chat. If I happen to notice it, I'll go ahead and read it out to you. I read it out to everyone else so they can get the appreciation of that. Like I said, this is a workshop, very interactive. I want to interact with you as we go through this together. So we kind of start with the Fool. And I say we kind of do because we also kind of end with the Fool. The Fool is basically the beginning and the end of a journey. He's kind of represents child, kind of represents birth, not really serious about life, head in the clouds sort of thing. It represents a leap of faith, unconventional choices, being playful without responsibility. Now, in this specific card here, you'll notice that the gold ring around his leg, that indicates that responsibility is trying to tie him down, trying to force him to deal with life. So it is something to consider with this card. So this begins our journey. We're new, we're young, we don't care about anything, we just want to have fun. Next, we have the Magician. Now, you're going to notice that the Magician here is balancing the 4 elements before himself. By the way, this is the tarot set that I use. I actually have the card sitting right in front of me. This is called the Gilded Tarot set. I use this over any other set because it speaks to me, honestly. I see it and I get so much inspiration from it. So the Magician, which is basically a magic user, kind of balances the forces before you, and it's kind of like choosing your path at this point. Now, throughout this process, you're going to be choosing your path a lot. The Magician kind of starts you on that initial path. Basically, it's about discipline and responsibility, that you have the power within yourself to accomplish anything you wish. So that's the thing about the Magician. Next is the High Priestess. High Priestess. Now, one thing that you are going to note is water. Water tends to be connected to cups, which is emotions. Oftentimes, I kind of think of it as the subconscious mind. And I actually wrote an article on ego, id, and superego, and that is something that does come up. And I do believe that the High Priestess is a representation of the id. The reason being is that she focuses more on the emotions of things. It's also interesting that she's masked, but her clothes are transparent. She's like a contradiction of sorts, a mystery, if you will. She promises knowledge, but can be dangerous. We must accept her energy and wisdom carefully. Basically, this is about knowing beyond logic, that sometimes logic is not enough, and sometimes we need to feel our way through a situation rather than relying solely on logic. And there's a lot of truth in that. And that's why I feel this represents the id, because the id is about pure, raw emotion rather than the logic of the id, of the ego and superego. Next, we have the Empress. Now, one mistake that I've seen some people make is that they will try to apply a gender to some of these cards. And while there is a gender presented here for these cards, we do see like the Empress is apparently female. It doesn't necessarily represent females, and male cards don't necessarily represent men, but it can represent femininity and masculinity. So now the Empress is the embodiment of femininity. She also is kind of seen as a mother type figure or a parental figure. She represents life, earthly possessions, sensuality. Although it's like the cloak kind of, we see the gold there, which indicates positive value of self, but she also kind of covers that with the cloak as well. So it's kind of a balance of being proud of who you are, but not being arrogant in a way. Now, she can be strongly sexual. However, it's usually in the quest of caring for others. It's not for her selfish needs as much as it's sharing with other people. And this way she can be nurturing, a nurturing mother, whereas she can also be highly sexual. The Emperor, which goes hand in hand with the Empress, he's more about external actions. He has to have a balance between compassion and ruling with an iron fist, which is the representations of the blue and red. But the white also tells us that he is a man underneath all of those clothing. He has to be, he has to wield the power of his domain, which is not an easy thing to do. The message that we get from him is healthy stability, creating an environment where we function at our best. Hierophant. Now, this is where I kind of take a different approach to this, because obviously the Hierophant is connected to Christian religion, which is funny because a lot of people feel that tarot is the work of the devil. And yet here we have, and we actually have a lot of symbolism within Christianity within tarot, which is funny to me. When I look at this card, though, I think of institutions. And this is an aspect of culture. Institutions are basically places of learning that teaches us about culture. The stained glass window is very apparent in this. And what we can gather from that is stained glass windows often tell us stories of the past that's immortalized in a stained glass window. So we learn about history, but the stars teach us about the future. This is a card about learning how we fit in within the general world. Lovers. Now, lovers is going to represent an interesting concept to tarot. One of the biggest mistakes that I definitely see within Hollywood is people misusing tarot for like, oh, well, if you get the lovers, that means you're going to fall in love. Or if you get the death card, you're going to die or someone you know is going to die. The thing is that the name of the cards don't often represent the meaning of the card. Oftentimes it's showing you the symbol of something that represents a greater meaning. So the lovers is not about love. The lovers is about choices. It's about a decision. The decision of logic and a decision of emotion. You know, do you make a choice that's logical? Do you choose the logical path or the emotional path? And it's a very important one. And neither one are necessarily right and wrong, but the dolphins in the background actually tell us something about what to think about with these decisions. Dolphins are sea creatures, so they kind of represent emotion, but they're also flying through the air, which kind of represents ambition. Actually, no, they represent intellect. Wind is related to swords. Depends on your tarot version, but in this one, wind is related to intellect. Dolphins, when they jump out of the water, they know exactly where they're going to land, which means they see the consequences of their actions before they take them. They're not going to jump up and then land on a rock. And that's what we have to do here with this decision, is try to see the consequences of our actions. But we still have to make a decision. Does the soldier stay with the woman he loves, or does he go join his unit? Chariot. Chariot is another decision card. But the decision being made here is one of maturity. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is the two Sphinx. They represent two different paths that you're following. However, they're not opposites of each other. One is gold and one is black. You might say it's silver, but it's actually black. And what this tells us is that these are two distinct choices, but not necessarily opposites of each other. So does this woman move forward? Which path does she take? Anytime we see the sun symbol, that's usually like us following a path, like we're moving further in our path. However, she's not looking ahead. She's looking off to the side, possibly debating if she wants to move forward, stay where she's at, or move backwards. Like I said, this is more about maturity and moving forward. Strength. I'm using a reference guide right now for this because it's hard to like keep track of all of these cards. So basically, the lion is the representation of strength, but you'll notice that she has a chain around the lion. The lion's not leading her and she's not leading the lion, but they're kind of staying together. And this is to tell you that you have more strength and power and courage than you realize, but not to let those elements control you. So yeah, we're going through these pretty fast. Hermit. Hermit kind of is, you need to get away sometimes. You need to get away from it all, get away from your life, and just contemplate everything that's happened in your life up to this point. And really ask yourself, are you on the right path or not? Now, the danger is being too much of a hermit. Probably one of the few times that the name of the card really does have to do with the meaning. You don't want to become stuck in the stagnant state. Take what you can from it and then move on. But, you know, this is the time to learn everything you need about what you've done so far. Really contemplate it. Wheel of Fortune is like the magician. You're basically choosing a new path. You know, you're taking what you've learned so far and you're applying it to the new path that you're taking. You'll notice the sun symbol again. Justice. There's a lot of complexity to this card. Scales represent karmic balance. You'll notice the sun symbol again. Justice is blindfolded and has no power to help or hurt you. You've made your own karma. I've also seen it as the balance of time as well as the balance of choices. What we learn from this is making your own future by your actions. And you kind of have to look at your past actions to determine what your future actions are going to be. This really kind of takes what the hermit, what we did as a hermit, where we reflected our lives and saw everything that we could learn. And now this is putting it into effect. We just chose our path. We've reflected. Now it's to put those two things together. Let's take what we've learned to where we are needing to go next. The Hanged Man. Now, this one, I'm going to completely disagree with most narratives on what this card means. For me, the Hanged Man is about your world flipping upside down permanently. It's kind of like getting stuck in quicksand. The more you fight against the quicksand, the quicker you sink. At least that's what it says in Hollywood. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I'm sure the Mythbusters have done something on it. And that's what I feel is happening here, is that the Hanged Man has caught himself into a trap and he's completely flipped upside down and now is viewing the world in a different way. What this card tells us is that, you know, if we keep trying to fight to get our lives back the way it once was, we're going to fail. The tide's just going to get worse. But the moment we start to accept that our lives have changed and there is no going back, that we're forever altered, we'll be let go from the trap and we can live our lives. Death. The dreaded death card. No, it doesn't mean that someone you know is going to die. But a lot of people feel that it represents a spiritual death. Basically, it's about purity. Funny enough, purity of willpower and purity of what, hold on, let me get it, the exact quote here. Yeah, purity of desire and purity of will. Basically, we've collected a lot of things about ourselves, and now we kind of need to strip away the things that we no longer need in order to function in life. Our lives often get clogged up with useless crap, useless drama, useless artifacts that we've collected along the way that just really hold us back. And that's what the death card is about taking all of that away. And in turn, we end up becoming a different person in the process. Temperance. Now, this is actually another Christian symbol. A brief bit of history of this. Temperance was a woman. I don't know if it was like the name of a woman or just the position of a woman, who would take a glass of wine and a glass of water and pour water into the wine, wine back into the water, and keep doing it until both the wine and the water were where the wine was diffused in the water properly in both glasses. And that's what the temperance is about the combining of basically two elements that don't really get along with each other. Here we see silver and gold glasses. Hold on one moment. All right, I'm so sorry for that. So basically, temperance is about taking two opposite things of ourselves and combining it together. This can be represented in a number of ways. It's not always something internal, it can be an external sort of thing. But we're looking for balance of self or balance of environment. The devil has nothing to do with Christianity, actually. The devil is about the devil within ourselves, that we are often our worst critic. That we're going to punish ourselves far more than anyone else can punish us. We're going to be our hardest critic. Or we want other people to punish us. And that's what the devil is that we want to receive some sort of punishment for our actions. The tower. The tower is actually a lot like my interpretation of the hanged man. And in some ways, it's also similar to death. Basically, you're thrown out of your life. Something major happened to you in your life, and you've just been like not only thrown out of it, but thrown out naked, apparently, as that man is naked, as you can see his buttocks right there. So what this kind of tells us is that sometimes you have to go through a great loss, kind of start all over from rock bottom to build yourself back up. Now, the difference between this card and my interpretation of the hanged man is there's nothing to say that you cannot rebuild what you once had. But sometimes you have to lose something in order to fully appreciate what you had in the first place. The star. Now, the star is kind of like the hermit in many ways. That you kind of just build up a lot of, well, it's the hermit, it's death, as well as temperance to a degree. Now, we also see water here, and that represents emotion, subconscious mind. Basically, as we go through life, we build up a lot of crap. And sometimes we just need to wash it away. We need to relax, get away from it all, and just cast it out of our system. You know, maybe like drinking a lot of water to like clean out your system. Take a nice hot shower after a long day just to wash away your troubles. And that's basically what the star represents. The moon represents dreams, about good dreams and bad dreams, about monsters that come from the depths, about the mechanics of life. So, yeah, that's basically what it represents. The sun. Well, it's really about seeing everything at work. And in a way, this is kind of like the hermit as well. Hold on, let me get the specifics for the sun. There we go. Basically, it's like peaceful contentment with the workings of the world. Basically, you just don't worry about anything anymore. That everything has its place, everything has its function, and whether you're there or not, the world will still go on. It's a hard lesson to really learn. The problem is that you don't want to get into this position where your lack of caring turns into oh god, I can't think of the word. My mind is starting to get bad. You don't just want to become apathetic to everything. You know that there are some things that you can't change, but don't disconnect so much that you decide that nothing is worth changing. Judgment. This also has Christian undertones. This is about hearing the trumpet that raises people from the dead that's seen in the final days of the Bible. And this is about you getting a call to do what you're meant to do. The danger is making sure that you're not hearing someone else's call and mistaking it for your own. The world is enlightenment. Basically, this is the end of your journey. You have accomplished everything you want, and you've pretty much are done. However, we know that in life, even if you do reach like the end of your journey, you're only going to start a new one. And that's why sometimes the Fool can be seen as the last card, but also the first card. So that takes care of the major arcana. How's everyone doing so far? Everyone good? Don't be afraid to go into the chat room and let me know how you're doing here. All right, so let me see if this is going to work. We're going to go into the spread itself. Now, as I mentioned, this is a 16 card spread. And this was something that I kind of designed because I saw a lot of people use tarot to create stories to help enhance their stories. But a lot of what I saw was kind of simplistic. And me, I tend to view the world as being very complex. So I opted to try to change that. Hold on, let me see. Did it actually work? No, it doesn't look like it did. So we're going to have to do the screen share. Do that again. Start the screen share. Okay. Hopefully that did the trick. So I started designing this and everything just sort of fell together. Now, after that, it kind of took a lot of design work to try to get everything to finally fit together. But in the end, I think I did a lot of great work with this. I'm waiting for this symbol to load up for you so I can give you the proper information about it. But basically, it's 16 cards. Every place has its own definition and meaning. Unlike a lot of spreads, though, there we go. You're now seeing it. Unlike a lot of spreads, how the cards are placed in relationship to each other actually holds new meanings as well. And that's where the complexity of this comes from. So let me show you what that looks like. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's one grouping. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Excuse me. Then we got these little pillars here. Pillars for 2, 3, 5, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 12, 14, 15, 3, 4, 13, 14. These pillars connect these cards together to create an overall meaning for these specific parts. So not only do we have an overall meaning for the different colors there, we also have it for the different pillars. We also have 2 spheres, an inner sphere or an inner circle, which is 3, 8, 9, and 14, as well as the outer sphere, which is 1, 6, 11, and 16. Now, what makes the outer sphere interesting is that they don't share any card with the pillars or the inner sphere, where the inner sphere and the pillars share almost every single card, or they share at least 2 cards with each other. So we're going to take a quick look at the different aspects of this. So what you're looking at here is a 16 card spread that has 10 intersecting points that will give us complexity in a whole new way of designing characters. So let's talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds like some idiot's locker combination. I know, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. One represents a character's past. Basically their childhood, what they did to what they did in their childhood, what they were like leading up to as an adult. 2 represents a character's conflict, their own personal conflict in life. Not necessarily related to the central conflict of the story, but look at it as every character is in the middle of their own hero's journey. Where are they in that journey? Number 3 is the element of the character, basically a general sense of who are they. And number 4 is what they strive for in life, their aspirations. So this represents basically the external self that most people see when they see a person. 5, 6, 7, 8, relationship to others. Now, this actually has a little bit of some complexity here. The reason being is that this was originally designed for complex secondary characters. I have since expanded this spread to include antagonists and main characters. But let me go ahead and tell you about the cards. Number 5 is relationship to main character. Number 6 is relationship to antagonist. Number 7 is relationship to protagonist. Protagonist and main character is not always the same person or entity. And 8 is relationship to the central conflict. Now, for a secondary character, that works perfectly, but what if you're dealing with the main character? How they relate to themselves? I mean, the external self kind of relates to that already. So this is kind of like their personal connections with their friends and families. They can represent themselves. If you look at some literary theory, you know, maybe this could be their connection to their mentor, their sidekick, what have you. Number 6 and 7 still makes sense because, again, the main character can be different from the protagonist. But if the main character is also the protagonist of the story, then number 7 can represent their social connection or their professional connection with the world around them. Number 6 being antagonist, that makes sense for the secondary character and main character. However, it doesn't make sense for the antagonist itself. So this could represent some sort of establishment or government or controlling power. How does the antagonist relate to this controlling power? 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are the internal self. 9 is drive. What drives them forward? 10, ideas. What do they think about? 11, fears. And 12, beliefs. 13, 14, 15, 16. 13 is skills. What are they good at? 14, quirks or idiosyncrasies. 15 is values. What do they value? And 16 is their vulnerabilities. All right, so our first pillar that we're going to talk about today is going to be their journey. Now, when we expand this into a 22 card spread, we basically have an additional card for each of the pillars, the inner circle, and the outer circle that's unique to that specific area. And that's not shared with any other pillar, sphere, what have you. And that actually can add some unique meanings to each of these things. So for the journey, 2 is the character's conflict that they're dealing with. 3 is the elements of who they are. 5 is the relationship to the main character. And 8 is the relationship to the central conflict. 7, 8, 9, 10. 7 is relationship to protagonist. 8 is relationship to the central conflict. Now you see how this is sharing. 9 is drive, and 10 is ideas. And this is the essence of the character. 9, 12, 14, 15. 9 is drive. 12 is beliefs. 14 is quirks, and 15 is values. And this represents the character's ambitions. 3, 4, 13, 14. 3 is elements of characters. 4 is aspirations. 13 is skills, and 14 is quirks. And this represents the character's manner. 3, 8, 9, 14. 3 elements of characters. 8 relation to the central conflict. 9 is their drive, and 14 is their quirks. And this is the role in the story. Role shouldn't be confused with assigned role, but rather what they kind of represent in the grand scheme of things. Not whether or not they're the sidekick or the main character or the mentor, but kind of what they represent on a bigger scale. You know, do they represent an element of truth or something to look into our side about? But it does so in a very complex way. 1, 6, 11, 16. 1, character's past. 6, relationship to antagonist. 11, fears. 16, vulnerabilities. And this represents the obstacles a character faces. So I'm just checking to make sure no one's commented yet. Okay, so yeah. So all of this really seems to be going well together. Now, I'm open for any suggestions if you think there's a way to improve upon this. Now, we're going to start with stage 3, or part 3 of this, where we're going to discuss specific placements. Now, I've already drawn out what each of these cards are. So first, I'm going to go through each of these cards and kind of give a general meaning of what the card is, basically 2 words, as well as their meaning in their placements. So I've already written this down, so we don't really have to worry about it at this moment. And then I'm going to show you the worksheet that I've designed to help me do this. Excuse me. All right, so we'll start with card number 1, which is the character's past. Here we have the 7 of Pentacles. One thing I want to point out is that every card has a positive and negative value. A lot of readers, if the card comes up upside down, that's usually meant to take the negative meaning versus the positive meaning. I don't subscribe to that because I very well could have messed up and caused the card to be upside down. I feel that every card is like a magnet. It has both positive and negative polarity, so you should consider both as a part of your reading. Okay, so characters past, life before adulthood. Seven of Pentacles represents patience and anxiety. Basically, this character had a productive childhood, learning to work hard and be patient. Now, just because I can use the negative doesn't mean I always do. Number two, characters conflict. Six of Swords, passaged and blocked. What are they dealing with? Well, they're running away from something, avoiding responsibility. Now, the thing is this isn't going to give me specific details. This just kind of gives me some puzzle pieces to fill in the puzzle a little bit, and I have to fill in the rest on my own later. So maybe they witnessed someone being killed and saw who the murderer was and are running away because they don't want to testify. This isn't going to tell me that, but I can easily insert that into any character I'm working on that kind of needs that storyline. Number three, Ace of Cups, inspiration and selfishness. Who are they in general? Well, they're constantly seeking new adventures and waiting for new experiences. Number four, Ten of Pentacles, characters and aspirations. What are they striving for in life? Well, they want to be successful and rich. Basically, they can do anything they want. Number five, relationship to the main character. Now, for the moment, we're going to focus just on the secondary character. So the Chariot, how are they linked, or what's their personal connection? This is direction and domineering. Sees the main character as a parental figure, help them become better. So basically, the main character kind of acts as a parent to whatever character this is. King of Wands, relationship to the antagonist. They are determined to be an end to the enemy by any means. So our character here wants to put an end to the enemy in any way he possibly can. Okay, number seven, relationship to protagonists. We have the Ten of Swords. How are they linked how are they linked to the protagonist? This is misfortune and relief. More is expected of them than they thought they were capable of doing. 8, conflict to the story. 10 of Wands, responsibility and reevaluation. Know that they are a part of the solution and must help see the end of it. So I know this is a little bit boring. I do apologize for that, but hopefully you're seeing how all of this is interconnected together, how it all relates to each other. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue on. We've got number 9, drive, which is judgment. What pushes them forward? Well, it's awakening and avoidance. Despite their past, they feel that the world is calling to them to be part of it, to live in it. Okay, number 10, ideas. And we've got strength here. Well, their ideas, what do they think of? There's fortitude and weakness, dreams of being better than they are, or perhaps that they don't really, they want to be better, but don't realize that they're actually all that they need to be. 3 of Wands for fear. What holds them back mentally? Well, with the 3 of Wands, this is about leadership and presumption. They're afraid of making the wrong decision. They're impatient. Beliefs, 6 of Pentacles. Basically generosity and coveting. Wants others to be taken care of and have what he has. He wants to share what he has. It's very noble. Skills, Queen of Pentacles. What are they good at? Well, they're a skilled craftsman, likes the attention it brings them. They show off. So they're able to make something, or they can do a service really well. So much so they often brag about it. Okay, so then we have quirks, 5 of Pentacles. They're idiosyncrasies, and this represents poverty and perseverance. Codependence, always needs others around to make them feel happy. They're actually quite lonely. Now, the one thing to keep in mind about all of this is that while the card might have specific meaning, if it inspires you to put in another meaning for it, go for it. You don't necessarily have to stick to the card meaning for this to work. Especially if you're trying to create a specific character, you can kind of fill in the blanks if you need to. Also, if a card simply just doesn't work, take it out altogether. Okay, values, Knight of Wands. What is the most important thing to them? Well, wants to get to the end quickly and will take shortcuts to get there. So they want new experiences, but they will always want new experiences and want the current experience to end so they can get to the next one. 16, vulnerabilities, Wheel of Fortune. Weakness that they keep hidden, fate and instability. Always needs something new in life, gets bored easily. Okay, so our journey, the specific card for the journey, the path that they're put on, which is the 3 of Pentacles, which is work and stagnation. They're very crafty, love the work they do, wants to make new things. Essence pillar, we've got the Lovers, their internal self, logic versus emotional decisions. They want more out of life, but conflicted with thoughts and feelings. All right, so 9 of Wands. This is ambition. Ambition, basically what they want. This is discretion and barriers. Sorry, I couldn't read for a moment. Reflects often on life, takes failures badly, works hard to avoid them. So we're almost done with this part. Okay, so next we've got manner. And this is daydreaming and logic, wants to do anything and everything, easily overwhelmed with choices. So they want new things, but then they have a lot of choices before them and they get overwhelmed with them. So, inner circle, 6 of Cups. Nostalgia and lethargic. Neglects the past and pretends it means nothing, but it slowly controls them. And our last card is the Queen of Wands. And this is the obstacle, their own need for excitement and new challenges, fear of stagnation. And basically, this is what stops them from really moving beyond their own vulnerabilities, their fears, and dealing with the antagonist, is their need for excitement. Okay, any of you still with me? I still got one person. Okay, have you said anything? No. All right, so now I'm going to show you my worksheet. And this is where we're going to get a little bit interactive if you want to participate at home. I'm now watching both. Let me go ahead and do the screen share. So this right here is my worksheet that I've designed. And this will be available for download once this video is fully loaded up. As you can see, I do have a little cheat sheet on the side here. I made this a pretty long time ago. this infograph over here, but I probably created this spreadsheet about a month ago. So we have everything color coded based, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got it right here. And then we have the specific pillars and spheres. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is designed to automatically update anything that I type into these fields. So we start with the external self. Had a productive childhood, learn to work hard and be patient. They're running away from something, avoid responsibility, constantly seeking new adventures, waiting new experiences, and wants to be successful and rich, can do anything. And then what we do in this box here is we write something. Hopefully you can still hear me fine. So what do we write here? Well, we write kind of a synopsis that captures all of this. So I'm just going to be real brief on this. Had learned a great skill growing up, but something in their life caused them to run away and not look back. They search for new adventures and new experiences and hopes to be rich and famous one day. Now, now that we've typed this here, if we scroll down to the bottom, it automatically fills in here. And when we do each of these, it's going to fill in. Now, I'm not going to do the master summary for this, but I am going to do one of each of these things. So let's talk about relationship to others. Sees the main character as a parental figure, help them become better. They're determined to put an end to the enemy by any means. More is expected of them than they thought that they were capable of doing. Know that they are part of the solution and must help put an end to it. Now, of course, if we're doing like the antagonists and main characters, we need to make the appropriate changes. What I recommend when using this template is to like fill in for each of these three things, as this down here will take care of that for you, as it's divided up into three. But like I said, we're only going to do the secondary character today. So I leave it open to the chat room. I know I only have like one person watching me right now, but do you have a suggestion on what I should do? How should I write this out? And okay, I'm going to go ahead and start typing something, and you just, if you think of something, write it into the chat room on the Yahoo page under this account. All right, and we don't have to really make this very pretty, although I will put that like that. So, you know, we don't have to make this print version friendly because we're not really going to print this out, but all right. So next we have eternal self, drive, ideas, fears, beliefs. Despite past, they feel that the world is calling on them to be a part of it. They dream of their lives being better, afraid of making the wrong decision, and wants others to be taken care of and have what he has. So he's a giving person, but he's indecisive. And he more or less avoids responsibility. So irresponsible. See, irresponsible, decisive, indecisive, charitable, so yeah, controlled by greed and fear that they will fail. So I'm doing something real simple here, but I encourage you to write as much as you can based on these ideas. So you take these ideas and see what they inspire as far as creating a character. Okay, so relationship to self, skilled craftsman, likes to show off, codependent, wants to get to the end quickly and take shortcuts, and always needs something new in life, gets bored easily. So they are attention seeking, required to be the center of attention. They will take shortcuts. They will take shortcuts and will stop some things to move on to the next. Yeah, that's basically about it. So now we have the inner circle. So, neglected past pretends it means nothing, constantly seeking new adventures, know that they're part of the solution and must help see the end of it. Despite the past, feeling that the world is calling out to them to be a part of it to live, and they're codependent, they need others around them. And that codependency right there might be explain why they're staying on task with this thing. So wants new experiences and joins the main character to get a new experience in life. Oh, I'm starting to get tired. Ugh. Wants a new experience in life. Wants to help with the problem that the main character faces. And knows this is where he belongs. Gets emotional when they are alone. So you're going to start seeing that some of the same meanings keep popping up over and over again. So we're almost done with this. Again, if you're watching this live, go ahead and fill in. If you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and leave a comment down below if you think that I've got something wrong, or if you have a suggestion for me of what to do. So next is Pillar 1, which is our journey, path that they're on. They're very crafty, love the work they do, wants to make new things. Now, this is the 22 card spread that we're basically doing. So very crafty. They're running away from something, avoiding responsibility, constantly seeking new adventures, sees the main character as a parental figure, knowing that they are a part of the solution, must help see the end of it. Highly skilled craftsmen. They turn away from that life to obtain new experiences, and that is how he met the main character. While easily distracted, knows that the main character's journey is very important. It's hard for me to look at this screen because of all the white. It affects my eyesight pretty badly. So thankfully, we're almost done with this. Okay, so next is Essence. Wants more out of life, but conflicted with thoughts and feelings. More is expected of them than they thought they were capable of doing. Knowing that they want to be part of the solution, despite the past, feels that the world is calling out to them and dreams of being better than they are. So they want more out of life. However, life wants more out of them. Despite that, they know this is where they belong and hopes that they become a better person as a result of this. Okay, so next we got Pillar 3, Ambition. Okay, so reflects often on life, takes failure badly, works hard to avoid it. Despite fast, feels that the world is calling out to him, wants others to be taken care of, is codependent, and wants to end quickly and will take shortcuts. This is their ambition. So they avoids failure and wonders why life hasn't worked out for them. They need other people to be around. They need other people to be around. They are quick to stop a project or take shortcuts unless, except for the quest the main character is on. Yeah, normally I'd be writing like a whole lot more. Okay, so 2 more and then we have the master summary. Okay, so we've got Pillar 4, which is manner. How do they get it? What wants to do anything and everything, easily overcome with choice, constantly seeking new adventures, wanting new experiences, wants to be successful and rich, skilled craftsman, and codependent. Well, they want their life to always remain interesting and will take unnecessary risk to ensure that. However, when faced with a lot of decisions, they tend to get overwhelmed and relies on others more than themselves. Okay, so last one, the outer core. Their obstacle, their need for excitement and new challenges, fear of stagnation, had a productive childhood, learned to work hard and be patient. They're determined to put an end to the enemy by any means, afraid of making the wrong decision. They're impatient, afraid of always need something in life and gets bored easily. Now, in a lot of ways, the character's past kind of doesn't work with the rest of this. I'm sure there's a way to make it work. I'm going to take the card out because it's not really an obstacle that they've had a good childhood. Unless, of course, you want to say that because they had to work all the time, the character feels that their parents didn't properly prepare them for life. But I'm not going to go that direction. So I'm just going to remove the card out altogether. They are determined to stop the enemy. However, they need new things in life to keep them happy. However, they are afraid of making the wrong decision, has commitment issues, and gets bored because they can't make up their mind. Rarely sticks with anything. Okay, so E85. That should have updated. Oh, because it's reading as B, not A. There we go. 111 is it must have been a mistake on my end. There should be 10 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I somewhere fucked up on this. I'll fix that before I get the copy out to you. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. So now when we write our master summary, we use all of these points right here. But let's go ahead and read through all of them at once. Learned a great skill growing up, but something in their life caused them to run away and not look back. They search for new adventures and new experiences and hopes to be rich and famous one day. On their quest for a new journey, they meet the main character and helps them on his quest. But in doing so, more is asked of them than they realize. This doesn't deter them, and they will see it to the end. They are responsible, indecisive, charitable, controlled by greed and fear that they will fail. They're attention-seeking, requiring to be the center of attention. They will take shortcuts and will stop some things to move on to the next. They want new experiences and joins the main characters to get the new experiences in life. Wants to help others with their problem, wants to help with the problems that the main character faces, and knows that this is where he belongs. Highly skilled craftsmen, they turn away from that life to obtain new experiences. And that is how he met the main character. Easily distracted, knows that the main character's journey is very important. Avoids failures and wonders why life hasn't worked out for them. They need others to be around. They want their lives to always remain interesting and will take unnecessary risk to ensure that. However, when they're faced with a lot of decisions, they get overwhelmed and relies on others more than themselves, and they're determined to stop the enemy. However, they need new things in life to keep them happy. They are afraid of making the wrong decisions, but commitment issues, and gets bored because they can't make up their mind. Rarely sticks to anything. So we're noticing a common thread here in this, that, he's attention seeking, he wants new adventures, he wants the fame and the glory, but quite possibly he doesn't really want to put the work into it, and that's why he takes a lot of shortcuts. So, and that's a fairly complex character right there. That even if he had riches, he'd probably share it with people, but, his need for attention would overwrite anything else. So when we write our master summary, that's what we basically do. And this is basically how my spread works. And you will see the complexities of this. Like I said, there are 10 intersecting points that deals with their self, their connections with other people, how they relate to the story itself, and then the complex thoughts beyond that. Now, if you get stuck on a card, I do recommend using kind of a 3-card Monty deal where you throw 3 cards down. I recommend using a different deck for this. You throw down the 3 cards, and then you use those 3 cards as a part of your reading for that 1 card. And, you put it into this here. And these can be as big or as long as they need to be. Since, again, we're not really going to print this up, it doesn't really need to look pretty. However, when you do your character summary in this, you could go ahead and print that up as your basically synopsis of your character. So this is going to allow you to create complex characters. However, you're still going to need to fill in the blanks. But the beauty of this is that you don't have to kind of design this off the top of your head. You already have a lot of key elements to this character. Now you just have to fill in the small little details. Now, this is not a perfect solution. One of the flaws that it has is that it often doesn't create the character that you want, but ends up creating a different character. For that, I tend to do this about once a week, where I'll create a character and go through all the process of doing this. And then, if I need a character, I can look through my list of the characters I've already created, and it's right there. Well, I could just pull one that's like, okay, that fits really well, take it out, and there you go. And then just start filling in the missing details. Now, future workshops, if I continue doing this, I'm going to show you how to take this and figure things out like their date of birth, as well as other key, not necessarily key information, but other tidbits of information to help you flesh out the character more. Now, as always, you're going to learn more about the character as you write them, but this is going to give you a very solid foundation of who your character is. Anyways, that's going to do it for me today. I apologize if this was a little bit on the boring side. I've never done anything like this before. I really tried to make this as interactive as possible, but no one was really in chat. So I'm sure that down the line, this is probably going to get a little bit more popularity. If you are seeing this in April, go ahead and check out my Pub Slush, madcat.pubslush.com. There's also my free book to where you can get on my website, writing.chrisvody.com. And I'll provide the links down to both below. So, anyways, this is Chris Vody signing off.